What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to be showing you how to install the upgrade parts for the Planet X Kadmos, their version of IDW Star Saber. So this guy, which is the Planet X Nemeos, came with some parts to get this guy to be a little bit more stable in the combined mode. And it's actually a welcome addition because I did actually feel like the knees were a little bit on the loose side. And you also get some other parts. So let me just show you what you get. So first off, you get upgrade head. It looks more like the IDW Star Saber. Now, I think a complaint on the original head was the eyes were too far apart. A lot of people thought just looked a little funny. So I'm glad that they included that. That's a nice little upgrade. And it also just has more paint and detail. It's nice. They also give you a new crotch plate. Not 100% sure why they found it necessary. Maybe it tightens up the leg joints or something, but basically a whole new crotch. You get new hip joints. So these are the joints that go into the body. So you basically have to take apart this, but those will replace that. Then you get new knee ratchets. So you're basically replacing the ratchets in the hip, which they're not too bad, but I guess it's not going to be able to hold the weight of the combined mode. You get new knees, and I do feel the knees were a little bit loose on the original. The top joint was especially loose. The bottom joint was okay, but the top was definitely loose. So let's show you how to do that. We'll get this guy out of here, and we'll get started. Alright, so starting off with the head, there's the original head, and just so you can get a look at it, here's the new head. And the eyes are definitely a little bit bigger and wider apart. So pretty simple, just come to here, remove this screw. The ears will probably fall out when you take this apart, so just keep track of them, don't lose them. And then go ahead and take the front half of the head off. One of my ears went flying, so I'll have to go find it. And then go ahead and take the new head here and remove this screw. By the way, they gave you this screwdriver. It's pretty nice. It's for third-party screwdrivers. And there's your new Star Saber head. I think that actually looks pretty good. All right, next we'll work on the crotch plate and the new hips here. So come to the back and there's a screw right here. So go ahead and remove that. I believe they're just friction fit. Yeah, so these are just on friction pins. So just get that off gently. And underneath there's two screws. So you're going to remove those two screws as well. And once you take those two screws out, this will start to come apart. So just hold on to it. And we can set the legs aside. And pull this apart. And this is the part we're going to replace. So these are also friction fit on the front. Right? And we need this piece on the front here. So there's one last screw here. Take out that screw. It's inside. And then go ahead and pull this part off. There is a spring there. And that spring controls this little notch right here, so don't lose that spring. So set aside the old one, grab the new one, and get this attached here. Right, and then once you have that on there, go ahead and put the screw back in. All right, so here is the old one here on the right. Here's the new one, and you can see there was two springs in there, and there was actually two ratchet teeth that were installed in there. And it looks like they've changed the design, so you don't need those two springs and ratchet teeth. So just set the old one aside for now, and the old front piece on the side. And this is the new piece. So here's the ratchet, and let me just explain how this is going to work. Here's the leg, and this is basically a replacement piece for this. Now they've replaced the ratchet here at the hip with a built-in ratchet piece. So this actually comes down. It's very tight, so it's going to be hard for me to do it, but this is going to replace this, and essentially the ratchet's built in. So you don't need that ratchet tooth to react with this. But we do have to get this detached from here. So that's going to be a little bit of work on our part. So we're going to bring this leg down, and we got quite a bit of work to do on this leg. And while we're at it, we're going to also change out the knee ratchet. So on this one, you're going to take apart 1, 2, 3 screws, and that'll allow you to get to this ratchet piece here, which we need to remove. So go ahead and take those out. All right, you can see it take it apart here, and this definitely got more complicated now. But having removed those screws, you can have access to this. So we're going to pull out this spring, pull this out, and again, set your screws aside. But this is the piece we need to get out of here. And you're going to have to remove this screw hole cover. And I would suggest using a spudger or something soft to get underneath and pop that screw hole cover off. And that's the screw you want to remove. So go ahead and remove that screw. And we got to get a screw from under here as well. So go ahead and pop this screw hole cover off. And this is a lot of work, but you can see it's just pegged in there, and that's the screw. So get that one off as well. All right, and I believe the new joint is actually not a ratchet. It's just a friction joint because it doesn't have any ratchet teeth on it. So I think their theory is they've made this tolerance well enough that it should fit. So let's see. Hopefully it does. Go ahead and take the hip piece here. That should go here. And you just put it that way for now. And then take your cover, put that over here, and this should fit like this. All right, so go ahead and put your 2 screws back in. All right, then once you do that, go ahead and put your screw covers back on, and don't forget the knee one as well. They are keyed, so they only go one way. There you go. Then you're going to take this, and this is going to go back in here. And again, they've changed this to a tension joint. So the 2 springs that were in there, you don't need anymore. You can just set those 2 springs aside. And this is going to go into here. And it's just a tension fit. It's a tight fit, but it's a tension fit. Then we're going to put everything back together. So go ahead and take the front of the leg right here and get that into here. And this is quite a bit of work. I'm kind of surprised how involved this is. But and then take your back of the or side of the leg. This is going to go through here. All right, and once you get that back together, we can put our screws back in. So 1, 2, 3. One of the screws is already there. All right, once you've tightened those 3 screws, you should have some nice tension on this. And it does feel pretty tight. I would tighten this screw to the best of your ability because that's the one that's giving the tension. But that's pretty good. All right, so that's one leg pretty much done. All right, now that we have the legs reassembled, we're going to put the legs and crotch all back together. So here's the back of the thing, and you can see there's 2 kind of square holes in there. Those are going to line up with these pegs here. Get those in there. And it should look like that. Then you take that, and this is the front piece, and remember we attached this. You need the new pieces, so don't use the old ones because the hole is actually a little bit bigger. All right, so go ahead and get this into here. Get all the pieces ready, and then this is going to go onto the front. And it should be a nice snug fit. All right. Now come to the back, and you want to put in these 2 screws and then the one down here. So you should have 3 screws total going back in. All right, now that we have the screws in there and back together, we can put these hip skirts back on. These just slide straight forward. So there he is, fully fixed up and upgraded. And I had to say, this is very nice. I'm really happy they included this. Planet X did a great job of replacing the parts. The head itself is really well done. I like this head better than the old one. All the joints work better now. So if you move the hips out of the way, they are all friction joints, by the way, but nice and tight. ready to hold the weight of the combined mode. Back and forth, nice and tight. Tolerance very well. Rotation at the thigh is also nice and tight. Mine was a little bit loose before. The knee joint, double jointed knee, of course, nice and tight. Doesn't go anywhere. Really, really well done. I think they deserve a kudos for really improving this figure. So especially for people who really like this version of Star Saber but weren't happy with the joints, specifically the knees, are always a kind of a annoyance. That was a really nice thing to do. Now, one other thing I recommend is this side-to-side joint is kind of annoying as well when you get combined, because you're ending up with a lot of weight on the arms and on the legs, on the backpack. So what you want to do is unpeg this, rotate this to the side, and then there's a screw right there. If you rotate this, it'll get out of the way. And then tighten that screw, but also put a little bit of kiki in that joint. And that will help prevent him from doing his side-to-side teapot motion when you don't want it to, when he's in combined mode. So between the hip upgrades, the knee upgrades, the new head, and tightening that joint, I think this is definitely a great improvement to this figure, which I already liked, but now the things that I took issue with are fixed. So stay tuned for the Nemios review. We did have to do this upgrade before finishing that video. So we'll show you how to go through that figure and all of its modes right here. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.